Hey, teacher friends. I'm so excited to come on tonight and talk to you about how to make a digital lesson plan. So, whether you're an online teacher or a brick and mortar teacher, it doesn't matter. A lot of our lessons, especially nowadays with remote learning, are digital, right? We have to be online, we have to be on the screen face to face with our students. And so, you want to be able to create engaging lesson plans that your students are going to stay in tuned with, right? They're not going to go off and looking at things on the side and talking to their siblings and falling asleep. We want to create engaging lesson plans. So, what I'm going to show you today is one of my online courses. I have made a slideshow and I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you the slideshow that I've created. And I'm going to explain to you how I create the lesson plan and what I think about first before I go ahead and I share it with my students. So, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, let's see. Oh, I guess I can share my entire screen. That's totally fine. And hopefully everyone can see. Okay, so what I'm going to do, one of my most popular classes right now. Oh my gosh, excuse me. One of the things that you never want to happen when you're live is to sneeze, but life happens, right? Okay, so what I'm going to show you is one of my most popular lessons, and that is my Roblox safety course. And so here's my course, right? So first I want to introduce myself and I want to tell all the students who I am. Some kids are reoccurring and sometimes they're not. And if you're a brick and mortar teacher and your students already know who you are, you don't necessarily have to do this slide. It really just depends on your situation and who you are. But this is my intro slide where I talk to them about who I am and what I do, and then I ask them questions about themselves. Then I give them an intro to what we're going to be talking about today. So if I was a history teacher and I was going to be talking about I had a person I wanted to say too. Let's go back to the good old George Washington, right? Let's pretend today's whole entire lesson is going to be George Washington. Then I'm going to put his information here and make it a little fun, engaging picture, and then ask them about what they see in the picture, that kind of thing. For me, we're going to be talking about Roblox. My students are already going to be familiar with the course or with the game. And some of them have played it already, some of them have not. And I tell them it doesn't matter either way, as long as they know what the game is and what it's about at least a little bit. Then I go ahead and I explain class rules. And I do recommend this. This is because I'm an online teacher and I have different kids coming in and out. However, when I was a brick and mortar teacher, I also think that this is still a very good slide to have because it's a good reminder to tell the students, hey, when we're in this lesson, these are the things I expect from you. And obviously yours is going to be a little bit different about the video check-in and things like that. But you could say, hey, I expect that if you have something to say, please raise your hand. If you have to go to the bathroom, use a sign-out book or whatever the rules are of your classroom. I really feel like this slide could stay in for any lesson plan because it just reminds the students of your expectations for the class during that time and you expect their attention, whether you are teaching in front of the students or you're online or remote or whatever it is that you're doing. So here's my online rules, right? So be respectful, keep your video on, raise your hand to speak, click mute when you're finished talking. And if you don't want to speak, they can say pass. And so just modify these to your classroom rules. And here's an icebreaker question, which again is really universal that you could do in any lesson plan. But I like to ask an icebreaker question, right? Get them all engaged and talking about it. And it's not just all lecturing. I'm engaging them in the conversation. Discussion questions are one of those top things that you can really do with your kids to make sure that they are engaged in the lesson and they're not already drifting off to what they're going to be doing at recess later today. Okay, so for me, here's my topic idea number one, right? For me, it's being safe online, and I go into the details about why that's important. So you want to have like your number one topic, right? Some teachers also like to actually post the objective, right? So like, what is the point of the lesson? What do you expect them to know? So if I was using George Washington, I might say, know who George Washington was, what he did, and why he's impressionable, right? So like have like an idea for your students to be like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to take out of this lesson. And make sure you address each of those things in your lesson plan so they are very clear and concise and the students know, oh, okay, George Washington, first president, got it, okay? For me, it's my second point, right? So I'm talking about family rules. And then my third point and my fourth point, again, depends on where you are. And again, your points could be, I usually stick to like 3 points, right? So if I go back, I'm talking about being safe online and your family's rules and I could probably actually switch these slides too and make it my one point is being safe online. Here's some like overall arching things that you should do. And then my family rules. And then reporting and blocking are pretty much a similar topic. So I like to have 3 idea topics that I'm going to really stick with before I do this next thing, which is a game. And so this is really great because it's interactive on the slides. So when I'm doing it digitally, I have my students, instead of having them all unmute, if I have a large class, if it's just maybe 1 or 2 of us, it's fine. If I have a large class, I say, okay, if you think it's 2006, hold up 1 finger. If you think it's 2009, hold up 2 fingers. And then that way they can all interact with me and they can see each other, but I don't have to have them all unmute and take that time and have the stories and all those things, right? So they can engage by using a lot of sign language. Be resourceful. Excuse me. And then I have my answer button here. So I say, okay, what do you think? 2006 or 2009? Oh my gosh, look at that. It's 2006. So this engaging slide alone is really nice because they can see what's going on. I didn't have to flip around a lot, right? And they can see the new arrow there. So make your slides interactive like this. It really keeps the kids' attention. Then you want to pick something that you're going to switch back to the main slide. So me, I did my head over here. So the slide goes back and then I switch to the next one. Who are the creators? I do the same thing with the fingers. David and Eric. Oh my gosh. Okay, cool. Click my head again. Go to the next slide. Should you report? Yes or no? So this one for yes or no questions, I like to do a thumbs up for yes and a thumbs down for no, right? Just being resourceful with your hand signals and things like that. Yay. Okay, great. Oh my gosh. Yes, Billy, you got it, right? Okay. And now I'm going on to my next point. Their personal information. I talked about how they shouldn't share it, things like that. So this is, again, just one of your objective points that you want to get across and make sure that they're understanding. And then for me, trading, right? And then now I'm on review. So those last 2 slides for you might be like one more point and they're combined. Just because you have several slides, it does not mean that each slide has to be a different point or a different objective. They could piggyback on each other, right? Because sometimes we're talking about, how to tie your shoes. Like the first thing might be like your checklist of things that you need. So like, don't feel like each slide has to be like something totally individual. They can flow into each other. Okay. It's just to space it out. So for this one, I have an animated slide. So I ask them an engaging question. Hey, what would you do if someone was bothering you on Roblox? Do you see how I'm breaking up my lesson? I have broken up my lesson from I talk about a bunch of points and then I did a game and then I talked about some more points and now I'm asking an engaging question. Hey, what would you do if someone was bothering you on Roblox? And this is where I want them to, get the information that they've already heard and tell it back to me. This is so I'm getting their comprehension. And also something you should know is I talk with my slides. So not everything that's on my slide is the only things that I'm talking about. In Google Slides, you can make notes or you can just do it off of your head. Like I like to write things that will prompt me to remember what to talk about. So I've talked about all of these things ahead of time. So they should be able to relay them back. And that's where my comprehension is coming. So then I hit the mouse. Yes, you could ask them to stop. Good job, Susie. Oh, yes, you could leave the room. Good job, Evie. Oh, yes, you could report them. Thanks, Finn. Oh, yes, block them. Okay, good. Thank you, Devin. Yes. So I've gotten all of my points here. It was more interactive. They had to say them. And I clicked to get through them. And then I do a review slide, right? What did we talk about the whole thing today? From start to finish, I give a couple of points, the important ones that I want them to remember and take from the lesson. Then for me, I like to finish it up with something fun. And again, another like discussion question. This for a brick and mortar teacher might be where you say, okay, let's get in pairs and talk about the 3 points that you learned from today's lesson. Okay, like Susie and Sarah, you guys come over here. Sarah, I want you to mention 3 things. And Susie, I want you to mention 3 things. And even if they say, oh, we thought of the same thing, encourage them to think of different things because knowing you've most likely talked about more than 6 things. So this is where you could do the turn and talk if you're in the classroom and have them start discussing. And now you have an engaging activity going on. Really keeps the students in there, right? And then at the end, questions and comments. So this might be like, okay, is there anything on here that was not explained thoroughly? Do you still have questions? Do you have a comment? Like, did something come to you when you were doing this? Or did, hey, like Susie, remember something that you didn't remember and you thought that was a great piece of information? This is really a collaborative moment for them to go in. And again, you could do another turn and talk here and have them do this. You could even do a writing prompt where you say, hey, questions and comments. Or you could say, hey, I want you to write 3 questions that another student in the class is going to answer, right? So you can really make this another like handwritten activity and make it engaging for your students. And then I write from me on the online, I say a nice thank you. And I did it in a bunch of different languages because I'm speaking to children all over the world. And so I thought this was like a fun slide, but you could make this as a like ticket to leave kind of question. So it might be like, hey, what was George Washington's year that he was president? What was the first year? And then like, but make sure you talk about what you're going to ask them. But then like their ticket to leave the classroom would be to have to answer that question. Or it could be something even more basic than that. But definitely keep the kids engaged. And I always heard of the flow, right? So let me go back and actually exit out of here and go back to you guys so I can make sure that I wasn't just talking to myself the whole time. Okay. Some other ideas is that I always make it a flow of variety, right? So when I start my lesson, I'm making sure that I'm engaging them with that icebreaker question, get them excited about the lesson. It's not just going to be a boring lecture, right? Get them excited, engaged, and then you start talking about important points. Then throw that game in there because kids hear game and they're like, oh, what? Cool. Like, what are we going to do? Even though it's going to be academic related, it gets them excited, right? It's not just sitting there. Like I remember as a student sitting there listening to my teacher's lecture and like, there's nothing worse, right? I don't want to hear a lecture. I want to be engaged in my lesson and my learning. So there's that hill, right? So you do like a little bit of information, fun and excitement. Okay, back to some information, fun and excitement, right? And this is why at my previous school, we did brain breaks, right? Like every 15 to 20 minutes. If you ever like really fully engage yourself in some work, time yourself. How long does it take you to start drifting off and thinking about other things? It's usually about 15 to 20 minutes, unless you're really fully engaged. But even as adults, it's really hard, especially today's day and age, to sit there and be engaged in something fully for 15 to 20 minutes. So give yourself a brain break, right? Stop, stretch, relax. I have the kids like get up and do jumping jacks or a plank, or at my old school, we went around the building and did a lap. Like everybody, even adults, you should take time in between and have breaks, and kids need those breaks too. There's so much social media and technology going on that, you know, it's really hard to focus. So by getting their attention in different ways and engaging them, you're keeping them guessing. They don't know what's going to happen next. The worst thing you could do is have predictability, right? You don't want them to predict. You want them to stay awake so they're not like, right? Who's done that before? Never me, never. But that way they're like, oh, well, what's she going to do next? Like, she just had us play a game. Oh, wait, she just had us do turn and talk. I was able to chat with my friend. Oh, wait, they're never going to be able to know, right? So each lesson, you kind of just want to switch it up a little bit here and there and throw things at them that they're not going to expect, especially if you're a new teacher and you kind of have like no idea what to do. Just get them going, get them moving, the blood flow. I don't know if anyone else has like a exercise watch, my Apple Watch. Every once in a while, it will remind me, it's like, hey, it's time to stand. I'm like, oh, shoot. I think it does it like once per hour, right? Which as an adult is probably okay. But for kids, it's like, oh, hey, yeah, all right, time to stand up, get that blood flowing, let's go. And then it also reminds me to breathe. I don't know if I just don't breathe properly or whatever. That's just probably me. But even breathing exercises are really good exercises. Just, 3 in through the nose and breathe out. And it's just all about not making yourself predictable. You want to be there. Hey, Robin, you want to be there and be engaged with your students and keep them going and being engaged. So if you guys have any questions, definitely put them down in the comment box and I will definitely answer them for you. I really hope that this training was helpful for you and it helps you, get motivated to make your lesson plans, your digital lesson plans, engaging for your students, whether you are an online teacher or a brick and mortar teacher or any other combinations in between. I do have a training coming out soon that's going to show you exactly step by step on how to make these engaging lessons. So if you saw my Google Slides jumping around, that's something I'm going to explain in my new course. And I'm so excited to release it. It's coming really soon. So yeah, if you don't already know too, I do have a website called successfulonlineteachers.com. And so you can visit that and it tells you all kinds of things that I'm doing and it will share my YouTube channel with you. And I'm trying to make all kinds of trainings to help teachers out there because I know what it's like, and I want to be able to help other teachers, have fun in their classrooms and not become that predictable person. And, we're really plugging through, right? It's becoming to the end of the year, and you don't want to just do the fluff, right? Have this year go out with a bang. Many, many people have gone back to the in-person learning fully, and I get it. It has been difficult to say the least, right? In most situations. And so, like, let's really get them engaged and going and interactive with things and just show them that even though we had to do things digitally, we can do so many things with the digital resources we have today. So that's my training for today. I really hope it was super helpful. If you are not already in my teacher group too, you definitely want to hop over there. I'll go ahead and put all these links in the comments if anyone is interested. And again, if you have any comments or questions, put them in the comment box. If you're watching live, put #live. And if you're watching on a replay, #replay. And that way I can shout you out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope everyone has a great night, and I'll see you in the next one.